Hello, hello, hello! I'm Matthew Horkey.
And I'm Shireen Tan. Together we are
Exotic Wine Travel.
We've spent the last 3 years traveling around the world writing and speaking about unique and exciting wines. Our journey has taken us to both lesser known and established wine regions.
In 2016, we came to Croatia for the first time. We fell in love with the country and the wines, prompting us to write the book Cracking Croatian Wine, a visitor-friendly guide. Now we're at it again. We're going to retour the country and bring our book to life. We aim to take you deep into the Croatian food and wine scene. So sit back, relax, and join us as we go
Cracking Croatian wine.
The first stop on our retour of Croatia? Plešivica. It's a small wine region close to the capital. It's a wonderful area for wine that even local enthusiasts tend to forget about. It's only a 30-minute drive from the capital, but Plešivica is a fantastic wine region. A lot of people that come to Zagreb just speed past and head through the coast. But as you can see here, the vineyards are really steep. There's about 1,000 hectares of vineyards. There's about 4 to 5 really high-quality producers making fantastic wine, and we really believe that Plešivica has unlimited potential in terms of Croatian wine. Our first appointment is with Ivančić. It's a small winery headed up by winemaker and proprietor Šember Ivančić. He's made a name for himself by producing sparkling wines with pure fruit flavors and low levels of the brioche notes that can be found in champagne. He's also a local champion of the red grape, Portugizer. The red sparkling wine dark side is made from this grape, and it's something that we highly recommend. Šember greets us with a few new vintages and a large plate of home-cured meats. After enjoying his new Sauvignon Blanc, we head straight for his steepest vineyard. Šember has told us about this before, but it's even steeper than we imagined.
Come on, you can do it. If my mother can do it every second day, then you can do it also.
Portugizer is a variety that's usually made in a fresh Beaujolais Nouveau style wine, but Šember makes more serious wine out of it.
Why did you choose to work and focus on Portugizer?
Oh, I didn't choose because it was there. Yeah, 100 years ago, my grandfather's father put it in the soil, so now we have it.
So what do you like most about working with Portugizer, and what do you like least about working with it?
Look, the best is that Portugizer is very fruity and fresh.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's very hard to preserve that.
Right.
So when you do that properly, you have like very, very good sparkling wine base. So this is like great and perfect. Nice. 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 More smislit, nice.
Some mutual friends join us and the party starts. The evening's filled with wine, laughter, and homemade pork and mushroom sauce. The party rages on until 3 a.m. We open lots of wines.
No, it's in Croatia, but it's going like this. Once upon a time, I was in a camping, and I put my flauta in my
Somehow we managed to get to our accommodation, Rezikov Podrum, a small guest house that looks unassuming from the outside, yet boasts beautiful views of the vineyards below. We're up till 3 a.m., so that's what happens when you're in Croatia. I'm struggling this morning. How are you feeling?
I'm never struggling.
How's breakfast?
I haven't eaten yet. No, it's good. The coffee is good. It's just a simple spread to keep you full.
After breakfast, we head down a single-track dirt road to Šember Winery. They're known for making some of the best value sparklers in Croatia. It's Labor Day when we arrive, but the whole family's working. They're installing an automatic riddling machine for sparkling wine and doing a little spring cleaning. Nikola Šember makes wine with his father, Zdenko Šember. He's kind enough to take some time out of his busy day to show off a new release.
This is our first vintage sparkling wine. It's named Pavel, and the name Pavel became our village. Your name the Pavlovčani, and it became from Saint Pavel. It's made by Chardonnay 90% and Plavi Žuti 10%.
Šember also makes energetic dry Riesling and fruity Pinot Noir. Nikola shows us where the fruit for these wines come from before we leave the family to their work.
1, 2, 3.
Champagne.
We move down the road to Tomac. The winery is regarded as one of Croatia's finest. Tomislav Tomac produces several sparkling wines in addition to earthy Pinot Noirs and a few wines made in Georgian Qvevri, aka amphora. His amphora sparkling wine was named in Decanter magazine as one of the top 75 buys of 2016. His Tomac amphora still wine is also something that we highly recommend. This spring, Tomislav is busy in the vineyards, but gives us a few minutes of his time to talk about his sparkling and amphora wines.
We didn't know when we start. It was like 25 years ago that we have a good opportunity to make the good sparkling wines. Then we start to research, and it was logical, because if you compare it with Champagne, which is the leader in the sparkling world, then there is some similar things like climate, but we are not so north, but we are north enough to have a good ripening of the grapes, especially when we use standard varieties which are typical for this area, like Žuti Plavec. And then the soil is also in this style of carbonic soil, lot of free calcium, so it's important for aromatic profile of the wine. So from this year we are starting with the biodynamical production, and I think that we will improve much more. And it's always good when you have a passion for new horizons and new stories.
And what about, why did you decide to start using amphora?
The first vintage was 2007, and the first results were impressive for me. And now when I'm drinking this wine, after 11 years, I saw what is a good thing about amphora. Amphora is not a magic box, and today a lot of winemakers will take the amphora or something like that just to be in trend, to have some marketing about this, some stories. But you have to know that if you put the good grapes in amphora, then you will get a really good wine. If you just put some standard conventional grape, then the wine will be disaster. No?
Usually when we visit Tomac, we spend a few hours tasting, but today Tomislav and his wife Martina are busy, so we move on. Our tummies are rumbling, so we stop at Ivančić restaurant. It's one of the few solid restaurants in the region, in addition to Carlo. Ivančić sits in the center of the village of Plešivica and has beautiful panoramic views of the region. Just note, it does not share ownership with Ivančić Winery. The local special of the day is forest mushroom soup and venison stew with a homemade dumpling. Both dishes get a thumbs up from Shireen.
It's really tender. And the sauce is sweet from probably long boiling of onion and the other ingredients.
We polish off both dishes in no time, flat, before catching an early night's rest. In the morning, we head to another Croatian wine gem, Corack Winery. Josip Corack makes wines with his father, Velimir. They're building a full-time restaurant that will open at the end of 2018. Despite the construction, Josip welcomes us onto the terrace where we taste a few new vintages. Corack makes outstanding Sauvignon Blanc, Riesling, and Chardonnay in addition to sparkling wine. However, the new vintage of Pinot Noir is what gets us really excited.
I like this because on the nose, you get a little bit of that brown sugar sweetness, very vibrant fruit as well, definitely led by vibrant grapefruit, but you still get a little bit of the darkness, maybe black cherry, just a little bit of earthy notes, but it's still pure fruit. And then in the mouth, that I'm most impressed with is the structure and the small tannins. Is that it doesn't grip, it just finishes and it just like, you feel it in your mouth a little bit, and the structure is just brilliant, big in the mid palate, finishes really clean.
Josip, thank you for hosting us today, Givali.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, we always like your Sauvignon Blanc, your Chardonnay, your sparkling as well, and Riesling, and we always believe that you make excellent white wines at Corack. But as we were talking about it earlier, you mentioned that you think Pinot Noir should be your flagship wine. Can you tell me why?
Yeah, in the past, when you mention Plešivica, first is a white variety, and it's like that because 70% in vineyards is white variety, 30% is red, and Pinot Noir is not such a old variety for in this region, but before is Portugizer, and last 15-20 years is Pinot Noir, and I think when you mention Pinot, when you say Pinot Noir in Croatian, the first region you will remember is Plešivica.
Yeah, I agree.
The first year is what we produce Pinot is 2006. We have a lot of good stuff with Pinot, some bad, but it's for us competition with variety.
Do you think you've achieved the Pinot Noir that you more or less want to achieve?
Yeah, our style it's maybe more old school, like for Pinot, like in Chardonnay and some different in other variety. Our philosophy is maturing with low sulfur, without sulfur. We aging Pinot vineyard without sulfur on the lees and in wood. We don't use new oak, more second rotation, third rotation, and after that in big oak because we want to leave this fruity aroma from Pinot and elegant note wood. And
Walking through the cellar, Josip shows us the new vintage of Riesling, which he made into orange wine. Man, we could stay here all day.
What year is this again?
2015.
15.
Unfortunately, our time in the region is running out. So our time in Plešivica has run up. When Shireen and I are here, we always amazed how beautiful the region is. We'd always like to spend a lot more time here, but now it's time to move on to Istria.
In the next episode of Exotic Wine Travel, we will explore Istria, a peninsula surrounded on three sides by the Adriatic Sea and bounded by the Alps on the north. In Istria, the towns, food, and wine take on a strong Italian influence. If you'd like to learn more about Croatia and Croatian wine, keep a lookout for our next episode and check out our book, Cracking Croatian Wine, a Visitor-Friendly Guide.